Hello, and welcome to Cry Havoc Wargaming, dedicated to bringing you the uncommon. For those of you who haven't met me, my name is Ron, and today we're going to do an after-action report of the second battle of our ongoing campaign of Once Upon a Time in Spain, using dawns and departures. So let's get started. Captain Garrett of the 50th Regiment entered into a forced march, moving his men 2 half-days travel in 1 half-day, leaving all of his baggage train behind. He was too late. The battle had already been lost that morning, and he ends up encountering Colbert and the 4th Leger, entering into a combat in the hilly, wooded region just north of Cabra Luna. Here we have the French forces. They have a water bowser. This is Simon Barbier, a doctor, a musician, and the commanding officer, Captain René Colbert. Also up here in the front, we have Lieutenant Victor Perrault, who is serving in command of the skirmishers. Next to him is his sergeant right here. There's 2 groups of Voltigeurs in line and 3 groups of Voltigeurs skirmishers. Right there in the rear, you see the commander, the dragoons. This is Lieutenant Marcelin Faucher and his sergeant. Medium gun, commanded by Lieutenant Killian Sinclair of the French artillery. And then in the back are the 4th Dragoons. The British consist of 4 groups of light infantry in line, 2 groups of rifles. The infantry in line is commanded by our hero. That is Captain Preston Garrett. He's here in the rear with his drummer and his holy man. Also mounted back there is Winter, his exploring officer, which isn't really important, doesn't really need a figure on the game. He's not actually in the game. And then there's his sergeant, and you can see his sergeant back here. That is Randall St. John. Lieutenant Sterling Benson is here in the front. He's in command of the rifles with his sergeant over here. So here we are looking at the area just north of Cabra Luna as we begin the second part of the Battle of Cabra Luna. This is going to be an encounter. The goal is for either side to chase the other side off the field. The French have a starting force morale of 10. And the British have a starting force morale of 11. So a small advantage force morale-wise for the Brits. Both sides have their entire forces here with the exception of 4 French wounded from the last fight. So what we're going to do is begin the game. So the first card is a French 3. That is the commanding officer, Marcelin Faucher of the Dragoons. Just over here is the French primary deployment marker. They rolled for which third of the table they were coming in on and then could move 6 inches from that area. So they have a primary deployment here. Both sides had secondary deployments they had paid for. So the secondary deployment for the French is being represented presently by these barrels over here. The British, the primary deployment is that one just below the mill over there, and their secondary is in that field at the farm. My intention, and it was the whole reason I took this deployment point, or set that deployment there for the French, is to bring in the Dragoons. The 3 is the Dragoon officer. Dragoons set up 12 inches from the marker. So it's one group of Dragoons, the 4th Dragoons, starting in this field behind this wall. The commanding officer and a sergeant backing him up. I've got the French commanding officer. Do I want to deploy him already? Line infantry, they can be 9. This is the main force of the enemy's line. Put him along this road here in column. I guess that's, strictly speaking, open column. And Tiffin, that's the end of the turn. Nobody can activate anybody on their side. First turn comes to an end. So beginning of turn 2, we pull a card and we get British 1, British commander, taking up that main road. I wonder if I can start forming a line. That's what I'm going to try to do. So we're going to move forward 2. Now it's going to be a little hard to make this out because I don't have my movement trays. My movement trays, unfortunately, I've been too lazy to get them out from under my War of the Roses figures. So I'm going to leave a little gap in this game, and a gap would normally mean they are not in formation, but I'm going to have to leave that little gap to keep track of which group is which, and this group is not going to make it. That's the first movement. They've come forward up the road. They're starting to shake out on column in the line. Get a blue flag. That's a French flag. And that's the end of the turn, Tiffin. But I can use that French flag to activate a unit, and I do have a unit out there that hasn't done anything. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the French Dragoons. I'm going to jump the fence. Yeah, it looks like I have to be the canter. So canter is going to be forward direction, 45 degrees, cannot change facing, and has to end facing the way they're doing. It's going to add pips to their movement as well, 3 pips. They also will have to roll a d6 for each horse to see if they make it. So the first one is 9. I'm moving 9 inches and I have to roll for each guy. Okay, he makes it. Right. Sergeant's horse is the only horse that doesn't clear. So he's going to be back down to the walk. The second part of their canter, I got 4 inches. So that's the end of that turn. This is French 5. That is the cannon. I'm not sure I'm ready to bring the cannon on. I'm going to wait on that. French flag. French 2, that is going to be, Lieutenant Victor Parrott is the commander of the skirmishers. So we could start bringing skirmishers in. If I put them in formation, they'd be where they belong right now, in front of my French line. I think what I'm going to do right now is bring them in separate units, and I'm going to bring them in over here. So they can be 12 inches from there. That's going to put them over in this region. British flag, British command, and 4, British 4. Sergeant McKinnon is a status 1 leader in command of one of the rifles, 60th Royal Americans. I think we're going to need to deal with that cavalry unit. So these are skirmishers. Put them in here. They're armed with rifles. They're going to fire and start reloading. Shooting at cavalry. The range. It's about 14 inches. We're firing with a rifle. Their effective range. 6 guys firing, that's 6 dice. And attached level 1, that is 7 dice. I'm going to go ahead and use the command card that's here, for 8 dice. There's no shock on them. I need 5s normally. First fire makes it 4s, skirmishers at effective range. Makes it 3s or higher. So they need 3s or higher. So 5 hits. 5 hits on the cavalry. They are in the open. So that's 2 shock on the dragoons. And then they start reloading. It takes 2 turns to reload the rifles. The next card is a blue flag. That's a French flag. Next card after that is a British flag. If this next one's a flag, it'll be a random event. But it isn't. It is a British one. This is Garnet himself. I think it may be time to start activating Garnet. So let's look at bringing Garnet and his command in. They enter at 9 inches from their marker. There's 2 of them, 12 inches apart. One of them is here, one is here. I'm going to go ahead and make him from here. I think that's the primary one anyway. It kind of makes sense. They are deploying in formation. This is 4 groups, so it is a big formation. Now the problem with coming in the way I am is I can only fire the first line of guys there, but I don't think I have much choice in that matter. We're going to present and fire. So they're going to present and fire. That's why I left the loads down there. So they get first fire, but they are firing muskets. So the range isn't as good with the rifles. Loading time is quicker, but the range not as good. And we are kind of far from each other. Now shooting in this game is directly in front of the units, but everything in front. That is 18 to that front line, 20 to the guys in the back. I'm going to give them cover of that hill. I think they're kind of on the reverse slope. So it's only going to be at the guys in the front line. 18 with a musket is long range. So it won't be as good as what we had last time. Long ranges are 6s. First fire, make it 5. Controlled volley, make it 4. So 4 or higher. Got a bunch of hits here. 7 hits in the open. Couple deads. And 3 shock. Had 2 hits. If this was a rifle, a 1 or a 2 would be a hit on the officer. On this one I have to roll a 1, and I did. Alright, so 2 deaths. One of them is the officer. I roll a 2. He's knocked out by my wound. So this is just the sergeant, but the sergeant's been knocked out. Put him down here. By a minor wound. He has to roll now to come back. That means only one of them is a casualty. But they have taken 4 shock, and that's pretty bad. Good volleying by the British. Then we have a French 3. 3 for the French. That is the Dragoon leader. He's a 2. I think what he's going to do is activate the Dragoons, but he's also going to reduce 1 level of shock. The Dragoons are going to have to go to the walk because they were just cantering. They're going to walk for 6 for their first activation. We'll walk them over this way. It's not really going to matter because what's going to happen is they're going to walk over there. Their first action and their second action is going to be. So the Dragoons have dismounted there into the trees, getting ready to return fire on the rifleman. French 4. Sergeant Pierre Denis of the Legier. Gotta go. They can be 12 inches away. And the reason I've done that is because I can now fire with them. I can use them to shoot at the muskets on the far end. 6 carbines, or I'm sorry, 6 muskets. They're firing at a long range. There are 6 of them firing. There's a status level 1 leader, so that's 7. Going to go ahead and use a flag, make it 8. They're going to need 6s to hit. First fire makes it 5. Light infantry skirmishers makes it 4. Fours are higher to hit. Misses, misses. We have five hits. So the rifles have to roll for their cover. I'll call that hard cover. That's 3 shock. Another blue flag, French flag, and a French 1. Okay, we can do stuff here. This is going to be Colbert himself. He's going to reduce 2 levels of shock on this unit, and he's going to activate that formation and have them use 1 of their actions for moving. They roll 5. All right, so they've marched. They're going to go ahead and present. Stiffen. It's the end of that turn. Now, I could do the Voltigeurs. So we'll do that. We'll activate the Voltigeurs. I don't have any Brits that I haven't activated, so nothing to activate there. That's it. Everything on the table has activated. So we'll go to the next turn. We've got French forces coming up the middle of the table, definitely on the aggression. Dragoons are taking possession of force in the middle of the woods. I've got Voltigeurs who are holding the farmyard to the south here, just over here. In the meantime, the British have their main body, the 55th, on the table. They haven't moved much, they haven't moved at all, but they have fired and done some damage to the French. And we have 1 body of the 60th on the field, which is also shot but not had a great effect. As we go into the next turn. And the first card that we get is a British 4. Sergeant McKinnon is going to finish loading the rifles. That's going to be the first action. but they're going to fire and then be unloaded anyway. So there would be 6 dice normally. He's got 3 shocks, so that's going to go down to 5 dice. I think we have to shoot the guys at the wall now. I think the dragoons have sort of gotten cover, hiding in the trees. So this is effective range for the rifles. We've dropped to, as I said, to 5. Commander makes it 6. These are light infantry skirmishers. So they need 4 5s or 6s. Wow, only 1 misses. They are in hard cover. So only 5s or 6s do anything, so that is only 1 shock. Things are going to slow down if they just keep shooting at them. That's a blue 5. French artillery, Lieutenant Killian Sinclair. Artillery has to deploy on the marker, so there's the medium gun and its crew. They have nothing to shoot at, but they are on the table. All right, that is a French flag. British flag. French number 3. This is the commander of the dragoons. The dragoons who are working in the trees, in the tree line over here. Do they want to shoot at the main unit or do they want to shoot at my riflemen? I think what we're going to do is take positions in those woods to shoot at the rifles. Do we want to do that, or are we just going to get wiped out if we do that? I think it's what we want to do. Oh, hardly any movement. I think I'm going to go ahead and let them move again. That's more like it. Also get rid of the shock entirely. So they've used one of his leadership skills to remove shock and the other to activate the unit, which uses both activations to move forward. And that's a Tiffin. British can go first. Reload and fire the main unit there. I think I made a mistake last time because I think the most that they can fire there is 8, and that they're firing directly at this body here. That's 2 units. They're going to load and move is what they're going to do. And they could fire. They could fire and reload. That's what they're going to do. That's 19 dice. 112. They don't get the modifiers for the commanders. Maybe I don't want to fire. I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to leave them on present and do the Voltigeurs. So that's 6. It's going to be 6 dice. 4 hits. Nothing. All right, that's the end of that turn. And that's a tiffin immediately. That's the end of a chapter. So I'll go ahead and bring this guy back up. I think that can happen on the end of a chapter. Guns are reloaded. Uncontrolled fire is controlled. And I guess we probably lose presents too. And the next turn, that is the commander of these Voltigeurs, way over here in the woods. He's going to continue to activate them. Moving forward, 2 dice for free. 2.5 inches in the woods. Why don't we go ahead and move the extra 2? 2.5 inches. French flag. French 5, that's the cannon. Let's at least walk the cannon forward. I can move it 7 inches. Cannon is moved up 7 inches. Getting ready to do some shooting.
And a few more casualties. The French in the middle are looking, the main French are getting a little nervous shock-wise, but they're not taking as many casualties as are the British. And the first flag, that is the cannon.
Cannon doesn't have a line of shot and cannot move, it's just going to sit there. And we have the commander of the French Dragoon. The Dragoons are going to try to get into a position to shoot. I think at these people. I think that's going to do more. So we're going to move them. 5. They're going to go ahead and shoot. They're at very close range.
Only a handful of them actually
Have line of sight though.
4 of them are shooting. They have their commander.
They're
Effective, that needs 5 or 6s. They have 2 hits. Let's make it those first 2, I guess. 4 and a 6. That's going to be shock here. Yeah, this is the right thing to do, I think. It's going to be a wound here. The next card we get is a red flag.
and tiffin. All right, so we can operate somebody on the red flag. That would be the British forces. Let's work on our British. The British have to get out of this position. And they will fire, present fire. So they don't get the modifier for their boss. Controlled volley. They're muskets. They're close. They don't get the attached. They don't have any command things they can call. Close is going to be 4s and 6s. This is going to, because they're, it's going to be 3, 4, 5s, and 6s. That is a good volley. We got 8 hits. Now they're shooting, hit 1, 2 units. So 4 and 4, that's an easy one. We'll do the ones on the far end first. I'm going to call that. I'm going to go ahead and give them some cover for that. It's kind of tricky, but... So that's going to be 2 shock. I'm giving them the benefit of the cover from the shrine, though obviously they wouldn't have all been behind that. And the others are going to be in the open, and that is 2 shock on them. All right, things are getting a little tricky for them, but that was the end of that turn. Cards go back in the mug. British flag. And Sergeant Pierre Dany of the 4th Leger. Leger can get rid of... I'm going to get rid of 1 here. And that's the end of that turn. We do have the red flag though, so they will reload for 1. And then they will present and be ready to fire again. Red flag. 4. That is Denny again. Unfolding just like last time. Danny's going to go ahead and reduce this to 3. That is the Dragoon leader. Okay, they're going to load and fire. So the Dragoons here load and then fire again. Only smoothbore carbines, which is the problem they've got. So they need 5s or 6s to hit. They have 3 hits. It's just the 2 units there, so we'll do 2 on the close unit and 1 on the far. That's in the open. 2 5s is going to be shock. So the first group goes to 4. And then 1 on the far group. And that's a 4. I think it's also a shock. Yep. It's going to start affecting the return fire. Make things a little hairy. Second red flag. I've got 2 red flags out there now. Cannon still can't do anything. Finally activated the French sergeant with the Voltigeurs. They're going to go ahead and shoot. I don't think they can hit anything from this far back. I think they need to move forward, but... They got some hits. There's only 2 hits on the rifleman and the cover there, and that's probably nothing.
No, it is shock. They have caused, they have taken a little shock over there. The British still have a unit of rifles that haven't even made it onto the table yet. They could use them. Red flag. Blue flag. A second blue flag, but the 30 flags in a row. This is going to be a random event. It's going to be upon the Voltigeurs, who were last to do anything. And of course what they did was fire. So we're going to roll on the firing random events table. We got a 5. Fire. The nearest building within 12 inches of the fire has caught a light. Within 12 inches. Is there a building within 12 inches? Alright, that building is on fire. That is 4 British flags. I'm going to go ahead and use those 4 British flags to activate, out of order, my Brits. So the Brits are going to fire and then reload. So there would be 27 die normally, but we lose 3, so 24 dice. This is actually activating, counts as activating. So they get the 3 from their commander as well, because he does count as having activated for this, and it is also controlled volley. So this would have been this is going to be 3, 4, 5, or 6. This is going to be dangerous. This is exactly the sort of thing that was necessary, I think. This is a interruption or extra activation, so they can still reactivate again. All right, so let's just get rid of the 1s and 2s. It's 13 hits, and it is into everybody there. Basically 3 groups. We'll do the guys on the end for the extra. So it's 5 on the French right, and then it's going to be 4 on everybody else. So the ones on the far right, just here, they are in open for shock. So they're going to be breaking. Then the next group in the center there, I'm going to call them in cover again. That one's nothing. And then the guys on the far end in the open, that's probably 2 shock. That is. Well, that was, for most of the part, less than impressive. However, over here, okay, so we have 5 guys, and they've taken 8 shot. So they have 3 more than they have people for. They're going to pull back. You do have to roll something bad happens for their having fallen back. It's a minor one because it's just a fallback. Bad things happen. Group obliged to withdraw. So it's only on a 5 or 6 that anything happens. 4, 5, or 6. And we got 6. So they're going to lose 1 force morale point. But that is how you lose this game. So the French have been pushed back a little bit, and then they, of course, reload. They are not presented any longer. And now we have the French commander. French commander is going to use 2 of his points to try to get these guys back under control. And then he's going to fire with the others for 14, plus his 3, minus 3 for shock. And French present and fire? They cannot. So they're firing uncontrolled volleys. They need 4, 5s, or 6s. They still did really well. It's 8 hits. Scattered between the 2 groups that are there is all they can hit at their angle. So it's 4 and 4. We're going to do 4 on the British left. First, they're in the open. That's rough. They got
2 kills. 2 kills and a shock. That's going to be... That's going to have to be dealt with. Oh, I'm also going to have to roll for officers. Let's get the other unit first, though. The other unit also takes a kill and a shock. So a 1 or a 2, and this will be an officer. It is an officer. 1, 2, or 3, it's the sergeant. 4, 5, or 6, it's the boss. It is the sergeant. It's right there. Let's see what happens to him. Knocked out by minor wound, roll d6. Subsequent activations are at the end of the chapter. He will recover on a 5 or a 6. However, that is still something bad happens. Status 1, wounded, killed. Nothing happens. They don't really care about him. They don't like him. Makes sense because the figure is Obadiah from Sharp Rifle. All right, that's rough. That was a strong hit. Should use those blue flags, I think. Oh well. And Tiffin. So they got a Tiffin. We have a Tiffin. There are still blue flags that I didn't just use on that shoot. So I could use them now. Well, who hasn't gone? Pretty much everybody has gone. No. Perrault. In command of these voltage gear skirmishers here in the woods. They're in a particularly good position to do something. So let's go ahead and move them forward into shooting positions on the flank of that line. That's not much movement. All right, they won't get the officer's advantage, but they will get 6, they have 6 guns firing at close range. They are light infantry. They're armed with muskets, and they are close. Yeah, they are close range. They need 4s or 6s. They're light infantry skirmishers, so they need 3, 4, 5s, or 6s. And I would argue that they're shooting enfilade as well, so 1, 2, or 3s and 6s. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 hits. 2 and 2. 2 for the closest unit. 5 and a 6. They are in light cover, so that's a shock and a kill. The second group is a shock. That's going to hurt. The British are now, they've got shock on most of their groups. Commander is down. Not the commander, their sergeant is down. And things look a little rough. Not horrible, but a little rough. Another turn done. I did not get that second move I wanted. You could have used it. It would have been devastating. Red flag. 2. That is that officer again with the French here in the trees. That last shot worked so well, they're going to do that again. So they're going to fire and shoot. This time they do get the +2 for the officer. So they're going to fire. They need 4, 5s, and 6s. They probably need 3, 4, 5s, and 6s. They have 6 hits. Better than last time. 3 on the closest guys. Light cover, I mean. So that's 1 shock. Dealing with the shock for the Brits is going to be a challenge. The sergeant's down. They only have the 1 officer. He is a 3 at least, but still. And on the other body, they have 2 hits. If I roll a 1, it's the leader. It is not. Red flag. Blue flag. That's a blue flag, 3 in a row. More importantly, that is going to be a random shooting event. And it's going to be for the Voltigeurs. 3. Fouled barrels. Unit has fouled barrels. They fire at a -1 to hit until their waters can be cleaned. If contact with water, take 1 full turn to clean the barrels. So these guys are now at a -1 because of their dirty barrels, unless I can get the water bowser over there. Which seems a little awkward right now. It's kind of trapped. Chopper will do it too. French 3. That is the Dragoons, who are going to load and then fire again. The Dragoons are they're putting in a pretty effective fire into these guys here. 4 5s or 6s. 4 hits in the open. 2 of which are kills. It's 1 shock and 2 kills. On a 1, it's the officer. It is not. It's 2 kills. Yeah, because they're now over. So they're now at 7 total shock. There's only 4 of them. So they're going to fall back for 3 inches. And they are out of formation. We have to roll on something bad happens for that. That's a unit falling backward. I rolled a 5. That's almost certainly something. They're down 1. French 4. French 4 is Denny, who's busy up here on the hill. He's going to lower these guys' shock real quick. Keep them from continuing to run off the table. Red flag. Blue flag. Red 2. That is Lieutenant Sterling Benson with the 60th. We need him. He can come 12 inches off of this. You know, there's no cover up there, but I'm going to put them up here anyway. The skirmishers count as being in 1 point better of cover than they're in at any given time. I'm going to use some flags on this shot. They do get first fire, and they get sharp practice. I think what we're going to do is we're going to fire, start to reload, then use the 3 red flags for sharp practice to finish reloading. I got 6 guns up there, 6 rifles. They're under a foot. There's 2 dice for the guy in charge. This is close range with a rifle, so 4 through 6. First fire bonus, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Light infantry, 2. They need anything but 1s. I got 1-1, but that was all. Now, they're in light cover, but they're going to count as hard cover because that's what they do. So it's going to have to do a lot of rolling to actually have an effect here. I need 5s and 6s for anything. I have 2 5s. So we put 2 shock on the Voltigeurs. And then the sharp practice allows us to finish reloading. I think that was the right move. Finally, they're in the game. 6 is this fellow over here. He's going to go ahead and shoot again at the rifles opposite him. With the muskets, that is effective range, so it's 5s or 6s he needs, but they're light infantry, so 4 5s or 6s. 3 hits. Needs a 5 or 6 to do anything, and they don't. And then they reload. And Tiffin. I'm going to go ahead and use one of the flags that are here to allow the muskets to return fire. Actually, they're not going to return it. They're going to shoot at that group that's running. Can they do that? No, only the middle guys can. That means what I really need to do is move them. Oh, but they're firing uncontrolled. So I have to get control of them first. They are regulars. On a 3 through 6, we gain control. We do. I'm going to go ahead and pivot the unit to face the enemy. That's what they needed. 3 inches. And get them back in the formation. They couldn't have come back into, they couldn't be reformed either. But we do have 14 guys still shooting. -3. Oh, bunch of hits. It's effective. They need 4 5s and 6s because of their ability. So these guys here, nothing. And the others in the middle, nothing. Uncontrollable volley. And they're now unloaded. And that is the end of that turn. British flag. French flag. French flag, 3 in a row. That's going to be another shooting event. It's going to be for the main body of the French. 10. They are low on ammunition. The unit may only fire at close range until they can resupply from an ammunition wagon. Ignore it if this first round. That's a problem. British flag. Blue 3. French 3, that is. These are the dragoons. The dragoons, I already know what I'm doing with them. They're going to fire into that group they've caused to withdraw. They still have 6 guns. They're still effective. They get 2 for the guy in charge. They need 5s or 6s. They got 4 hits, all into that unit. Turn the open, so 3s through 5s. They do 2 more shock to them, putting them at 9. That is more than double. So they have to roll 2d6. I only rolled 5, which is remarkable. But I think they still have to move the normal withdrawal now. Let me check that. They may be off the table. That's exactly what those dragoons wanted to do. That should have been 2d6 plus 6, but there's no other addition to it. However, that still matters because they're really close to the end of the table. Yeah, they are actually gone. They had broke. Something bad happens. They lost 2 points on that. 2 points of force morale. So the force morale of the British has just dropped. They started 1 point ahead of the French, and they are now 1 point below the French. That is not good for the Brits. And British 3, Randall, the fellow that's been in the woods, they have to load. Yeah, takes 2 turns to load those darn things. I would really have liked to have fired. I have three red flags. I could operate somebody out of turn right now who hasn't already gone, but I'm going to wait. French 4. Dany. Dany is going to continue to try to get these guys' morale better. I think that's the right action. He could have tried to reform them up too, but I think... Red flag, 4. That's I can operate somebody out of turn. I'm going to activate Sterling Benson with those rifles, and he's going to shoot into the Voltigeurs again. They are close range, so that means 4 5s or 6s. Their shooting will make it 3, 4, 5s, or 6s. Only 2 of them missed. They count, however, as being in heavy cover, so only 5s or 6s will do anything, but 2 of those are 6s. I have to roll to see. One of those kills was the commander. Now, normally in sharp practice, with 2 kills, you'd have to roll under the 2, but these are rifles, so rifles a 1 or a 2 will be a kill. However, they rolled a 3. 6. Voltigeurs are going to fire again at the rifles like they've been doing. This is effective, but they're light, so they need 4, 5s, or 6s. It's a pretty good hit, but they're in hard cover, so they need 5s or 6s to do anything. And they do not do anything. Then they reload. And that's the end of the turn. Do the French have anyone who haven't gone? Because they can activate now if they do. I'm going to roll for the Frenchmen that are panicky on the hill there. They only have 2 dice. And they're shooting at light infantry. That's a miss. So nothing there, but a lot of shooting that turn. Blue flag. British flag. The Voltigeurs again. They're going to shoot and fire. I got 3 hits, but they're all saved. A blue 3, that's the Dragoons. The Dragoons are they're gonna load and fire, and they're gonna now start shooting at that unit there. With the 2 commander, these are only effective, so they need 5s and 6s. So the first guy's is dead. Second guy's nothing. Third guy, so 1 dead in the first unit. That's whittling the Brits down in a way they can't afford to be whittled. They're not doing well. Okay, it is their go. This is the Brits. Garnet's not in a particularly good shape here. So get these guys into cover, I think. Let's drop that down. Let's put that all the way down to a 1. And then we're going to shoot. We're going to activate the unit, so it's going to be present and fire. I have 15 dice, close range. They need 4, 5s, or 6s. Not terrific. 3 units that I'm shooting into, so 3 dice on each. The French left, in the open, I got a 1, 2, and a 4. That's going to be 1 shock. The middle, a 3 and a 5, that's going to be, oh, but these are the ones I'm counting as in medium, or in cover, light cover. So they take a shock. And the last group, the ones in trouble, in the open, they get a kill and a shock. That puts them back up to 5. That won't be an officer. It does, however, cause, because of the death and the shock at the same turn, it's going to cause a 1-inch fallback. That's a roll of a bad thing. That's probably nothing. Red 2. Red 2 is the guys on the hill. They're going to reload. Blue flag. 5 is the cannon. Still blocked. Blue flag. Got 3 flags. I could operate somebody out of turn. I'm not going to do that yet. Red flag. 3 red flags. I could operate somebody out of turn on the British side. Don't think that's really valuable right now. I think I'd rather try to get another one. 1. Colbert, the commander of the main French forces. But I also have 3 blue flags here, and I could either use those to help him in this attack, or I can use that to activate a unit that hasn't already gone. And I think that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and use those 3 blue flags, and instead of activating Colbert immediately, I'm going to activate Perrault, Lieutenant Victor Perrault, who's in these trees here with the Voltigeur skirmishers. Fire and then reload into the flank of the Brits. I think that'll help soften them up more before the charge. These are muskets. They count as being in close range. 4 plus 2 for the boss. They are in light cover. I won't imagine. I need 4s or 6s. Actually, these are light infantry, so I need 3s or higher. Half of them miss. Now we're in light cover, so I need 4s or higher to do anything. I got 2 5s and a 3. There's 2 units there, so the close unit, should have actually done that first. I should have separated my attack before I rolled. Then Perrault's group reloads. Now they count as activated, so if I get a 2, they've already gone. Now we will do the charge. They are commanded by a level 3. He's going to use his first command to lower them back into control. Still shaky, but better that he's doing that, because now he's going to reform the formation with his second. He's going to activate them for the charge. So they're going to charge in 6 inches. That's going to hurt them. You may not all make it. Yeah, that hurts big time because there's too much. They don't make it. Here I thought that was going to be a turn-changing move, and in the end, they don't even make it into action. Technically, should have had to roll for control anyway, but that we got it anyway. So. That was disappointing. I really thought that was going to change the game one way or the other, and then we don't even get into close combat. Oh well. The next card. Next card is a British red. I have 4 British reds out here right now. Use all of those because those allow me to do a second activation, and I'm going to activate with those Brits. So they're going to load real quickly. I'm going to go ahead and lower this to a 2, I guess. I'll go ahead and remove that one. We're going to go ahead and shoot. So they're going to load. They're not going to be able to do a controlled volley because they're unloaded. But I'm going to go ahead and do an uncontrolled. I'm going to load and fire into that assaulting group. 14 minus 2 dice, so 12. The range is way close. They don't have any pluses this time, so it's 4 5s or 6s. Oh, that was a bad volley. They only hit for 3. We'll do 1 on each. So 1 here. They're in the open. That's going to be a shock. They would have fallen back if I hadn't just attached Sergeant there. The guys in the middle. That is a shock. And the guy's on the end. That is a dead. One more Frenchman down. Okay, the next card is a blue 4. And that is the guy right here, actually. So he's going to use his 1. He's only got a 1 to bring that back down to 4. He's trying really hard to keep these guys under control. It's a long turn. British 4. This is Sergeant McKinnon. I don't know what to do with McKinnon. Maybe I should get rid of the shock. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get rid of shock. That may not be the best move because I may just keep getting it on them, but... Blue 2. That is the one that already activated out of turn. That's Perot there. You cannot go a second time. Tiffin, that is the end of a very long turn. All the flags have been used, so I can't do anybody that hasn't activated. And we get a 5. That's the cannon. The cannon still does not have line of sight on anybody. British 1. They're going to load and refire. Or are they going to charge? I could charge. I'm in much better shape than they are. I'll go ahead and bring this down to a 1. I'm going to go ahead and shoot again. They're going to load and shoot. They are uncontrolled. 14, they lose 1 die, so they're 13. Plus 3 for the commander. They're firing in the open. Or at close range. 4, 5s, and 6s. That's a little better. Firing at 3 units. So they got 3 hits on each unit. I'm going to do the one here closest. They are in the open. That's probably 1 dead. Yes, it is. It is 1 dead. The next unit was 1, maybe 2 shocks. 2 shocks. Broke this unit. And the last one, 2 shocks. 1 shock. They're holding. Only 1 kill, so that can't be the commander. So they've got 4 guys in force, so they're okay. The next group falls back 1. The formation just broke. No, not if he's there. He's going to attach to that group. That'll hold them. And so they're going to be able to hold. It's a rough call, but they're going to hold. British 4 is the fellow over there. He's going to drop them down again to 2. And the French 1. Do we try to charge in, or do we deal with... I think I can get in there, actually. So we're going to go ahead and load. So they're going to fire. I don't think they can charge. They're not going to make it anywhere if they charge. They need to deal with the morale. Their morale's in bad shape. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to roll close range. No bonuses. 4, 5s, or 6s. They're now uncontrolled. All right, I got some hits in here. So we got 4 on each. We're going to do the guys closest to the camera here first. They are in cover. They got 2 hits and a shock. And the next group, two shock. Oh, there's 3 units in there. That should have been 2 each. Oh well. These units are just small, so I mistook that last turn too. I treated them as 2 units, and there's actually 3 in there. Good thing that shock is in good shape, though. That's Perot. That's not what we wanted. Perot is going to shoot and then reload. These are skirmishers. They get 6 dice. They are close. So we're going to do 2, 2, and 1. The first group. That's a shock. The second group. Second group is nothing, and the last group is nothing. And then they reload. A British flag. Danny's gonna lower some morale again. This is Sergeant Randall St. John. He has to roll. He's been wounded. This is the first time he's come up in a while. He has to roll to get up. He does not. Okay, that's the fellow on the hill. He's going to shoot. So they're going to fire at these guys right here again. Fire and load. The range there is under 12. They have rifles, however. Close range, 6 plus 2 for Randall. This would normally be forced to do 6, but they are light infantry, so 3s are higher. That was a bad shot. Only 1 unit there, though. They count as hard cover because they are lights in the woods, so that's nothing. And then they reload for 1. They're carrying rifles, so. These are the Dragoons again in the woods. They're going to load and fire. Now these are carbines, are at effective range. They need 5s or 6s. They have 4 hits on 3 units in there. Technically they wouldn't even be able to shoot 2 of them. So we'll just do 2 on 2. They're in light covers, so that's a shock and a kill, and that's it. I'm gonna need to get these units out of here. That's a French flag, and the sergeant over here. So it's these guys here firing at the rifleman there. It is long range, so they need 6s, but they're light infantry actually, so they need 5s. 3 hits. They count as hard cover. Nothing, not a thing. That's another blue flag. Another blue flag. I could activate somebody who hasn't gone yet. I think they pretty much have all gone. A red flag. That is 3 flags in a row. The last action was a shooting action from the Voltigeurs there. I roll a 7. Smoke. A pall of smoke hangs across the immediate front of the fires. Firing this will be -1 to hit. Shall trap your ends. And Tiffin. But we activate a British 3. British 3 is Randall, who is down, who needs to try to get up. Same thing. He keeps rolling 1s. But we really need him, and he keeps rolling 1s. Coward. Red flag. Blue 3. Blue 3. That's the Dragoons. They're going to go ahead and load and shoot again. They're firing carbines. Effective range 5 to 6. Four hits. They only can really shoot at 2 units. That's 3 shock. 1 on the first group and 2 on the others. This has just broke the formation. That may have been disastrous, because the company on the end only has 3 guys. They're going to fall back. It's only by an inch. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. It does mean that they have broken their formation, however. They're holding. The Voltigeurs in the field have removed 1 level of shock. Blue flag, French flag. French 4, I think that is Danny. Danny is going to go ahead and move another shock. This group is slowly recovering. French 1. They're going to keep doing what they're doing, I think. Or do they charge? No, because their morale sucks. I'm not going to make it. One of these units has 6 shock on it, so you subtract 6 from a die roll of 6, and obviously you go nowhere. And we're going to be able to recover a little of that. So we're going to use 1 point to drop that. Let's use 2 points and drop that down to 4. So that's 2 of his 3. He's going to use the last one to activate the unit. They're going to load and shoot. 17 plus the 3 for the leader. Directing fire. These are close range muskets, 4 through 6. 3 hits on each. So the guys that have already broken once, they're going to get hit. They are in the open. So they take 2 more shock. Means another 2 inches back at least. This unit is on the verge of breaking. That next unit, this one is in cover, and it takes 2 more shock. It's probably breaking. Yeah, it is. I just realized I've got a whole bunch of rolls I have to make that I forgot. And the last unit, that is 2 deads. The rolls I'm referring to that I forgot to take are something bad things happen. There should have been one when that group last got hit and fell back. Yep, that was a morale point. Then they just fell back again. Nothing for that. And then the second one falling back, nothing for that. So they have dropped a force morale. Again, not good. Force morale. I want to end this with a higher force morale than the French. And so far, I'm not succeeding in that. We started higher, we've dropped to lower. Where presently the French are at 9 and the British are at 7. The British are collapsing. That's going to affect how many people will have some effect on who recovers. The British are losing. Now I have the British. Garnet's going to try to save the day, but what can he do? What can he do? He's going to have to bring this one down to 5. And we're going to go bring this one to 5. I guess he could shoot those guys because they're not a formation anymore. So they load and shoot. They're still really short. 4s and 2 6s. It's only the 2 on the end, actually, so we'll do 2 here and 1 there. 4 and 1, this is going to take this to 3. And the middle guys to 5. This is a nasty fight in here in the middle of the board. French flag. French flag. 5, that's the cannon. The cannon still can't shoot. Maybe get the cannon on the hill. That's going to be a game changer. I have 4 blue flags, and I'm going to use them to reactivate Cabra. Cabra is going to have his guys load and reshoot. All of it is within 12. So that is effective. That is close, not effective. That's a pretty good hit, too. So we're going to do 4 at the guys that are practically off the board. They're in the open. So 3s are higher. We'll do something. That is 2 deads and a shock. One of the deads is the wounded leader. It's 10. All right, that's not good. That unit has run off the board. That is 2 bad thing happens rolls. That first for obliged to withdraw, that's a point. Then breaks, 2 points. Game is collapsing fast. British are losing. They're down to 5. They're about to start losing command flags. Okay, that hurts. That hurts big time, and I'm not done. That group there, the group that had fallen back last time, a shock and 2 kills. They do not get the commanding officer who is in that group. That is now double. They have left. The commander has left the field. That can't be good. That's probably game right there. Okay, forced to withdraw. That's a point. Breaks. 2 points. 4 points. I just dropped to where I cannot win this game at all. I've lost most of my command points. I've lost my commander. I've lost a big chunk of my unit there. And I still have another 3, or I have 2 hits now on the last guys who are still holding. And one of those is a kill. They're pretty close to shaking now too, and their command is gone. So it very well might be too late, but I'm going to try to order a voluntary withdrawal. It means I have to try to work everybody off the field. All I have to do really is get 1 group off the field and it'll count. If you get everybody up except for 2 groups, and I only have 3 groups still on the table. So we're going to order a voluntary withdrawal. Finish this turn. Red flag. 3 red flags. So I can operate a unit that hasn't already gone. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and move with their 3 dice. What I'm trying to do is withdraw the rifleman from there, because I think we can pull this off. Oh, we can't, because we're going to stick at the wall. Let's do it the way we should be doing it. All right. So that's going to be 5 inches. These guys are actually all casualties. Oh, they did not make it. That's good enough. So they don't. The wall slows them down. They don't make it over, but they try. That may be disastrous. Blue 2. That's Perot. Perot's going to go ahead and fire at those guys. He's going to fire and load. And these 3s are higher because they know that every single shot hit. And there's only 1 unit there now. They are in light cover. It's 2 dead and a shock. But the 2 kills are forced to retire and then break. I'm not sure. Maybe it's only it breaks, but still breaks. That's 2 points. I only had 1 point, so the game is lost. Just there. Game automatically amends when 1 group goes to 0, and that just happened, and that's going to be disastrous. This was a huge defeat. I'm going to find out just how bad in a second. That certainly didn't go as Captain Garnet would prefer, having been beaten very, very roundly. He's lost 6 bags of supply. I was a little concerned about whether or not he should be able to do that or not. He should have lost his entire baggage train as well. I did let the French take the 6 sacks. I'm not sure I should have, because the baggage train wasn't actually with them. But for that same reason, I did not count the baggage train as lost. So we did see the plunder taken and the 6 sacks moved over to the French, but I'm leaving the baggage train where it is. And in fact, Garnet is returned to his baggage train to protect it. He's gone back up to 6 to lick his wounds and to recover. He rolled really well on those recovery rolls. He did lose 3 men, and he has a handful of men that are wounded that won't be in the next action, but aren't lost. I thought if you didn't have a transport cart, you couldn't get the wounded off, but it assumes in the rules, it states that you will have stolen a cart from somewhere. So I'm really not sure what the point of the transport cart is. But we went ahead and did that. The British stole a cart and got out of there. The French, on the other hand, have done very, very well. They've lost a total of 2 men to death. These were actually 2 men who had been wounded in the previous battle earlier that morning, who later have succumbed to their wounds. Everybody wounded in this particular fight have in fact recovered and are already back. They're not even anybody wounded for the French. So the French will enter the next battle almost entirely at their full complement. And I say almost entirely. They're down 2 infantrymen, but Colbert has ordered his regiment to move forward directly up into the box that the British originally were forced to retreat to, the box just northward into the wooded ground, just 1 square away from Pueblo del Cordo. In fact, at the end of the next campaign turn, they will find out which their goal, which of the boxes is their destination. So they've made it to that box safely. They're doing very well for supplies. 14, I think. I think they have 14 sacks of supplies just now. They have detached their dragoons, thinking they were going to encounter the enemy. They aren't patrolling any longer. I put them on reserve because they should have been on reserve on the last fight. It would have been disastrous for the British if the cavalry had been set on reserve and had attacked them while they were retreating at the end of that conclusion. So they are on reserve next time, but there is no fight immediately, and I'll have to do the next couple turns to see where that next fight will be. But that's the end of the Battle of Cabra Luna. The 2 units have gotten apart from each other and are licking their wounds. So if you have any questions about anything, go ahead and put those in the comments down below. Also, if you have ideas for further content you'd like to see here on Cry Havoc Wargaming, we look for those in the comments down below as well. If you've enjoyed this video, I hope you'll hit like. And if you'd like to continue to receive videos like this one to give you a better idea how to spend your money or time in your tabletop wargaming hobby, then please hit subscribe and ring our notification bell. Till next time, cheers.